What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our SEC football channel. We continue with our 2019 predictions. The Auburn Tigers are up next, and we're going to give you 5 different predictions for this team. And this is really one of the toughest teams, I think, in the country to predict this season, because they're going to be really good on the defensive line, probably the best defensive line in the country. They're going to be very solid on the offensive line, the skill position. Skill positions are solid. They have a lot of speed. Defensively, overall, they're going to be pretty good. But how will they be with Gus Malzahn now taking back over the play calling and with a freshman quarterback? They have a really high ceiling. They have, if the quarterback position, if Bo Nix is the next Trevor Lawrence, this team can make a run at the college football playoffs. If the quarterback position is young and they struggle, this team could, barely make a bowl game. So it's very tough to predict this team, and you're going to see that really in this video, because the different sources we have for predictions are really all over the place. But here's the schedule, and the big games against Oregon to open up the season are going to be, I think, really a big game, because it will set the tone for the season, really for both teams. But Auburn has to have that win. If they lose to Oregon, they're not going to run the table through the SEC. It's just not going to happen. They're at least going to lose one game. So that's a big game to set the tone for the season. You have Texas A&M, Florida, LSU all on the road. 3 really tough road games in there. Georgia and Alabama are at home, but still, it's Georgia and Alabama. So this is one of the toughest schedules in the country. They have the toughest SEC conference schedule, because they play everyone in the West, and then they play Florida and Georgia, the 2 top teams out of the East. So it doesn't get any tougher than that as far as their conference schedule goes. I have South Carolina with the toughest overall schedule, but I think Auburn has the toughest conference schedule. We start with our predictions. We've got this team at 9-3, and you can see our full predictions over on the main channel. I'll break it down a little bit more there, talk about this team more and all the individual games. But I think 9-3 is possible for this team. Again, I think they could get to 10 or 11 wins potentially this year if the quarterback position turns out to be great for them. But like I said, it's a risky pick, because they could finish a lot lower than that as well. So I kind of went in the middle there at 9-3, a little bit optimistic, I guess. Just kind of a gut feeling because of that defense. They're going to be able to win some games. I think they'll be able to beat Oregon, maybe pull off an upset, say against Georgia at home. And it's a tough schedule. And looking at it now, I kind of think maybe I should have went 8-4. But at the time that I made my predictions, I went with 9-3. I feel pretty confident about this team because of that defense. And again, that offensive line they have a lot of veterans on the offensive line as well. And Auburn's usually pretty good when the offensive line is good. Our NCAA football simulation, it's not quite as optimistic. It has them at 6-6, and you can go watch our entire simulation for this Auburn team over on the main channel as well. We go game by game, showing you highlights from each game, and you can see exactly who they beat, who they lost to. All of that, it is over on the main channel. But yeah, it had them going 6-6. They had some bad losses in there. I think they lost to Ole Miss. They were close in some games. Also lost to Oregon to open up the season. And you can see with this schedule how it can spiral out of control very quickly for this Auburn team. And it wouldn't even be that big of a surprise. So 6-6 could happen for them. I think they're not going to lose. I don't think all of those big games, but if they do, if they lose to all of the, say, top 25 teams that they play, yeah, 6-6 very possible. Athlon Sports has them at 7-5, so they're not overly optimistic either. They have this team, ranked below Texas A&M. I have Auburn ahead of Texas A&M. That's probably the biggest difference between me and Athlon Sports. I'm just not buying Texas A&M this year. I actually did a video on why I think next year they could make a run at the college football playoffs. But this year, I think with the schedule and some of the youth they have, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. But anyways, this video is about Auburn, and I think Auburn will do better than 7-5. Obviously, I picked 9-3. 8-4 in the middle there. It's very possible that could happen. Athlon actually has Auburn and Mississippi State tied at 7-5, 3-5 in the SEC. So they have them beating Oregon. But losing 5 games in the SEC. 5 games in the conference. That's pretty rough. And again, the schedule is very tough in the SEC. But how about the FBI? It's in between me and it's in between Athlon Sports. Has Auburn at 8-4. And it gives them, I think, the best chance out of anyone of beating both Georgia and Alabama. And I say that about Alabama. Actually, I think Florida might have had a better chance against Georgia. I'll have to go back and watch that. And we actually broke down the FBI on this channel. You can go watch our Auburn FBI breakdown and get a lot more detail and go through each individual game and their percentage to win each game. But yeah, I believe they were given the best chance out of anyone in the country or anyone on Alabama's schedule of beating Alabama this season, because a big reason is because that game's at home, but they get Georgia at home as well. So I think they're going to pull off an upset probably in one of those two games. We'll see what happens. So what about Las Vegas? They've got their win total at 7.5. So if you feel pretty confident about 9-3, and I don't feel great. I don't feel real confident about that, honestly. But if you did, that will be a pretty good bet, because even if they go 8-4, you would win. But Vegas knows what they're doing, and that makes me think 9-3 is probably a little bit too high on this team. That's why I said before 8-4 is probably more likely with this schedule. It's just, I want to be as close and as accurate as possible, and because that upside is so high, because this team has potential to win 10 or 11 games, and we've seen it out of Auburn teams in the past when they weren't really expected to do a whole lot. It's one of the toughest teams to predict really any year. I mean, a lot of times they're not expected to do a whole lot. They win the SEC, and then maybe they're supposed to be a top 5 team, and they barely make a bowl game. I mean, it's very tough to predict, and I think 8-4, probably is the most likely scenario for this team. But I'm going to go with 9-3 just because of that defense, and I think maybe they pull off a big upset in there. What do you guys think about Auburn? Let me know down in the comments below. Give me your predictions. Who do you think they're going to lose to? Anyone out there think that they might do even better than 9-3? Anybody think that they might miss out on a bowl game? I mean, it's possible with this schedule. You never know. Young quarterback, if they struggle there, it could be a long year. So again, a very tough team to predict, but I want to know what you guys think. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more here on our SEC Football channel.